One of the things I was taught very early on, especially with this topic, was the following. To understand, quote, abnormal behavior, you have to understand, quote, normal behavior. And so that's going to be kind of a hallmark for any work, especially with our 0 to 5 kids. If you want us to know if something's abnormal, you have to know if something's normal, right? You have to kind of have the mark there. Because if you have like a 17-year-old versus like a 15-year-old, kind of there's some developmental differences, but not really a lot. They can be kind of negligible in live fire, interactions. But if you have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, that's night and day. I think was it like Leo Tolstoy said, like I grew more in the first 5 years of my life than in the next 50, something like that. So there's some very good resources out there, like American Academy of Pediatrics is one. There's some really good stuff, just for general kind of like, ages and stages kind of stuff. And a lot of you took probably a developmental course in like graduate school or an undergraduate, and you remember none of that. Nobody remembers Bronfenbrenner or PJ. You remember the thing like with the water with PJ, and that's about it. But you don't remember any of that. Okay. So I'm going to give you the stuff that you actually need to know for your job. Okay. So, broadly speaking, if you work 18 and under, you have three stages you're going to run into in this order. The very young kids, we call this egocentric, A plus B equals me, concrete, A plus B equals C, and then your kind of tweens and teens, A plus B equals Y. And I'm going to go through those stages one at a time. Okay, so here we go. So the first stage, the stage we're mainly in is egocentric. 0 to 5 is usually egocentric. And the rule for egocentric is A plus B equals me. That's most 4-year-olds and many, many 40-year-old men. But that's not the point of today's talk. Okay. And so the short version for this stage is that if you are in this stage, any event that happens you will think it's caused by you. And this isn't just trauma or stressful events, okay? This is anything. So actually, me and Casey's bonding over Oklahoma storms. One of my friends, his son was 4 at the time when they were living in central Oklahoma, which is a lot of storms. And there was a big hailstorm and it was basically shattering the glass. And so my friend went the other direction. The kitchen was on the opposite side of the house where the hail was not coming from. He's not watching his little 4-year-old, which is not something you want to do when a 4-year-old is running around. And so the kid's about to run back into the living room where all the glass is falling. And my friend is he's almost in a panic. He's like, "Oh my God, my son's about to get shredded." But his son stops at the threshold of the doorway, looks up at the sky, and yells, "Stop it, God." That's a very egocentric thing. And here's why he did that. Me and the big guy talk every night, right? It's the big guy. And there we go. Like I do my prayers with him every single night. Like so I got a direct main line to this guy upstairs. That's very egocentric. I can control the weather, right? Because I'll just tell God to stop it, to cut it out. And so you cannot argue kids out of anything in this stage, partly because their analytic skills and their frontal lobe are just not developed yet. That doesn't happen until late adolescence. And so in there's some really strong argument that 20s are when it really kind of locks in. The thing you have to do at this stage for anything stressful, anything distressing, be physically present and comforting. It's okay, mijita. It's okay, corazón. Cálmate, mijita. Cálmate. Right? Some of your abuelas did that, right? Some of you, like when you were upset, they just calmed you. They didn't try to fix the problem. They just were there present and calming. And that's kind of the vibe you want to get. And again, this is just basic attachment theory. This isn't like a psychologist trick. We're going to talk about PCIT a little bit later, or PC Cares. That got that out in California, which is amazing. And that's the whole reason for its first half of its model is to help kids co-regulate with the caregiver, which kind of implies if you got a dysregulated caregiver, you got a dysregulated kid. Um, and so that's one of the things that, like when we do disaster response, the things we tell parents is how you are coping is how your kid will cope. So if you're a train wreck, we need to get you stabilized, get your feet underneath you, sometimes literally, and then like your kid will follow suit. So kid work is parent work, is what we're trying to say. Which probably you didn't need a PhD to tell you that. Okay, you probably figured that out a long time ago. Okay, but it's one of the kind of core things, and especially with this stage. Now, the next stage you enter, this is usually like mid elementary, maybe up to junior high. is, and Irma's right, co-regulation is the name of the game, Irma, is A plus B equals C. This is concrete. Anything proximal will be causal now. So it's moved outside of the individual and now it's anything proximal. So one of my mentors who taught me this does a kind of a thought experiment. So I want everyone in the physical environment you're sitting in right now, I want you to just look around your room or your office. Just look around it really quick. Okay, you got it? Okay, cool. If you did not just see it, it is not causal in your universe if you're in this stage. This is the correlation equals causation phase. So here's the my go-to example. Miss Phelps, Diana, and Destiny are laughing at me. Now, a good fifth grade teacher will handle this kind of intuitively. What Miss Phelps doesn't know, as Michael's fifth grade teacher, technically what Michael doesn't know is that Michael's body is still holding the physical stress from the domestically violent incident he saw that morning before he got on the bus. But I'm not at home anymore. So the thing that I see that's proximal is Destiny and Diana are laughing. So that must be what's causing this. They must be laughing at me. But again, a good fifth grade teacher would say, huh, Michael, thank you for telling me. Let's check on this. Let's be detectives. So Miss Phelps would go, hey, Destiny. Hey, Diana. Hey, Miss Phelps. I have a question for y'all. Yeah, Miss Phelps, did one of you tell a joke? Oh my God, Miss Phelps, Destiny told like the best joke. Really? Would you mind telling Michael the joke, Destiny? Yeah, Miss Phelps. They do this very concrete leading down stage. And so that's because that's the thing that Michael thinks is causal. It's not causal technically. The stress from the domestically violent encounter that happened that morning, that happens every morning in his house, is what's causing it, but he's not there anymore. So that's not causal. Again, you can't logic them out of this, but you really do have to give very concrete data like Miss Phelps would do. Let's go over here, let's do it a step at a time. And the repetition, especially for this phase, that's your key factor. Repetition, 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 repetition. That you're any of you who have like a 7 or 8 year old kid, you have to repeat yourself all the time, don't you, parents? It's annoying and you want to pull your hair out, but that's why you have to do that because that's the biggest thing here. Also, the calmness and directness of the caregiver of the adult primary attachment figure is the biggest one. And so we want it, so we at the National Network we are big fans of we want you to say the correct anatomically names of the private parts: penis, breast, buttocks, vagina. If you work with tween boys and you do this activity, penis, breast, buttocks, vagina. Now laugh. Now keep laughing. John, you're not laughing enough. Okay, you need to do at least 15 minutes of laughter once we say these words. Okay, let the giggles out. But so we want to be very clear, right? Part of this also is for safety. Like, what do you call this on your face? A nose. What do you call this right here? An ear. What do you call these on your chest? Your ooh-oohs. Yeah, there's all these cutesy names for that. And this becomes part, like actually Casey's background as a forensic interviewer. Yeah, well, I don't know what to do with ooh-ooh. If a forensic interviewer gets like, he touched my penis, then like, great, we got a case. We're like, we got it locked in. Now, the rule of thumb for this stage, if you're going past 10 words, you lost them completely. That's the good rule of thumb to keep in mind. You can forget everything else I told you. Haley and Casey will be extremely mad, but I'll be cool with it. But for this stage, just remember that 10 words. After 10 words, 11, word number 11, you lost them. And again, let's go back to Miss Phelps and Diana and Destiny. Hi, Diana, 2 words. Hi, Miss Phelps. Can I ask you a question? 6 words. Sure, Miss Phelps. Did one of you tell a joke? 7 words. By the way, watch like a good like third, fourth, fifth grade teacher. You'll see them be very tactical with their language. They don't use a lot of like bells and whistles. It's very clear. And yes, Kayla, just to cover out all the stages. So the last one, which we're not going to spend that much time on, is abstract. This is your teenagers. And so these, again, this is not the topic, the point of the talk. I just want to make sure to give you all the stages for kids before we go into like the egocentric one. Um, and part of the reason is a lot of therapeutics, and this is the therapeutics work, but a lot of them are based in this stage. So they're based with like teenagers, and so you can't do that. You got to make sure to match it with the stage, which is why kids in the very early stage are we want to be very present and comforting. So that kind of implies the whole point of this, actually, to Kayla's point, the whole point of this is talk therapy with a 3-year-old is a little one-sided. Okay. And so, and also therapy without a caregiver. Notice I did not say biological parent because for a lot of my kids, the biological parent is the most dangerous human being on the planet for them. But with a caregiver, a safe adult, that's also because of what we just talked about, essential. So we want to make sure that there are these very relational attachment-based components, but that's not just the therapist talking to them or the provider, it's the provider basically teaching and enhancing the caregiver's work around that.